Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of AWS Cloud Adventures. I'm Gigi and I'm an account manager at Amazon Web Services. In this episode, we are going to talk about hybrid cloud with Mikk Lemberg, CPO at OneOT. Mikk, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi everyone, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Mikk, could you introduce us to OneOT?
Of course. OneOT is helping businesses connect their smart devices to the internet all over the world. We have combined everything necessary, starting from cellular connectivity to connectivity management platform and eSIM infrastructure into a single service. As our name OneOT suggests, we want to be a one-stop shop for global connectivity for IoT device manufacturers and service providers. What it means is that they have access to single eSIM SKU connectivity management platform with API and also the technological enabler eSIM infrastructure, which is also known as the remote SIM provisioning platform. The unique thing about eSIM infrastructure is that we are the first connectivity service provider who has developed the eSIM infrastructure in-house. So it's controlled and managed 100% by ourselves. And the second important aspect is that it's partially hosted on cloud. So we are leveraging AWS infrastructure and also have the HSM or the secure element located on-premise in Tallinn TV Tower.
That's very interesting. A technology shift is underway in the telecom industry as devices are evolving beyond removable physical SIM. We can see this with the IoT devices or even with our phones. What kind of challenge have you faced coming up in the market?
When we started out with the eSIM connectivity business 3 or almost 4 years ago, then we actually used a third-party vendor as our eSIM infrastructure provider. But we quite quickly understood some of the problems that come from having to deal with a separate partner as the infrastructure provider. And then from those discussions and understanding, we actually decided to develop the eSIM infrastructure or the remote SIM provisioning platform in-house. So last summer, we actually got a GSMA SAS-SM certified, and then we are now using our own RSP platform or eSIM infrastructure to run our eSIM connectivity business.
As you mentioned, part of the infrastructure of OneOT is on AWS and part is on premise. Why did you decide to go for a hybrid cloud approach?
In an ideal world, we would be fully cloud or we would be using a fully cloud setup. But the requirement or the reason actually comes from the GSMA SAS-SM certification. So there is a very specific requirement that some parts of the security aspect of the platform has to be hosted on-premise. So it's accessible for our team members and then the engineers. So that's the reason. Then the cloud aspect or choosing AWS actually has a lot of benefits for a company or a lean company, small company like OneOT. First of all, it's the scalability. Instead of having multiple people worrying about and planning the future demand of the connectivity services, it's already handled more or less by AWS automation services to make sure that we are able to cater to the increasing needs of the IoT industry and then the growing number of devices all around the world. The second aspect is high availability. So similarly to the previous point, we would need to have hired multiple people to monitor and then kind of oversee the system. But now we can rely on your high availability infrastructure to make sure that everything is up and running all the time and the service is available for our customers. And the third aspect is multi-region support. So in the complex world of telecommunications and also changing governmental regulations, it's actually good that we can leverage different AWS regions that have GSMA SAS-SM certification. So what it means is, depending on the requirement, we can actually, with a few clicks of a button, open up a new eSIM infrastructure, whatever region that is necessary for us to either cater to some customer requests or changing regulations happening in the world.
Speaking about being compliant, what kind of benefit did you experience from leveraging the certification GSMA SaaS subscription management from AWS?
Instead of having to worry about ordering the equipment, setting everything up and deploying it, we could actually focus on writing the software and then deploying it on AWS and leverage the on-premise security aspects that were already there in place. And we were able to actually come to market or get it certified under a 6 months time period for the consumer eSIM, which we believe is a huge milestone. And interestingly, since we have been able to more focus on our core business and solving the real problems that our customers face, instead of dealing with all of the administrative tasks of monitoring and overseeing the whole process, we have been able to double our growth rate month to month since we launched the eSIM infrastructure on AWS.
Mikk, in the last 2 years and a half, we have seen together the impressive growth of OneOT. Do you want to share any learnings with our viewers?
Of course. I think the biggest learning has been that there's no big of a challenge not to tackle. If you see that there's a problem on the market or the current legacy solutions are not providing the value that should be there available for the enterprises and businesses, then just go and do it. And other blocks and pieces, they fall into place. Similarly, how we found out that AWS actually has the GSMA SAS-SM certified regions, both in Europe and US. And then maybe from one of these perspective, then the biggest learning has been that controlling the whole tech stack and the whole service is very important in terms of service quality, but also cost savings and kind of making sure that it's future-proof solutions, because you're learning from your customers day to day and you're able to improve and then kind of cater to their needs based on the feedback that you receive from them. So I would say those 2-3 things are the most important learnings from this journey with having our own eSIM infrastructure that is half or hybrid solution using AWS cloud.
Mikk, thank you so much for your time and for sharing the OneOT story with us today.
Thank you for having us here. It's been amazing to chat with you, Gigi.
And if you want to learn more about the development of the eSIM infrastructure on AWS, I invite you to watch the technical episode of OneOT.